It is March 23rd, 2019. You're listening to Fancy Ramen. I'm Neil.
I'm recording.
And I'm Scott.
Yeah, and this is a podcast about video games, amongst other things like anime and TV shows, Netflix, but certainly not ramen. I don't know if I can still consider myself a coffee snob, by the way. Because
why is that?
I've been really enjoying the, I guess you could call it the convenience of two coffee sins. So first, I want to point out, though, that I have a coworker who is married to a Colombian native, or what I mean by that is a Colombian citizen. I think she has, obviously at this point, because they're married, dual citizenship. But so when they take vacations, they go back to Colombia and they bring back Colombian coffee beans, 100% Colombian coffee beans, right?
Okay.
And he's given me three different types of coffee beans so far. Like your typical black, pretty, well roasted coffee bean, and then two other ones that I think they're called Cafe Jaffe, or the brewery. Excuse me, the roastery.
The roastery. Yeah, I think it's a roastery.
So Cafe Jaffe or something like that, I think, or maybe it could be Cafe Joff, and it's actually the official coffee of King Joff, the first of his name of the Baratheon, but we all know it's actually Lannister bloodline. Anyways, doesn't matter. The first roast, which was a dark roast and pretty typical, was good, full-bodied, delicious. I enjoyed it a lot. The other two are much lighter roasts, and I'm not sure if it's because I'm brewing it in a different style or anything like that. I'm doing pour-over method. A coarser grind just to make sure I'm not getting it too fine. And the result is a very acidic coffee, but it also has flavors that are really hard for me to identify. I can't, the first of the two lighter roasts were a banana amidst a bunch of other flavors. And the second one, I taste a bit of an almonds or amaretto, but without the sweetness of amaretto. It's
hell yeah.
So you started this by saying you weren't as much of a coffee snob, but now you're getting into actual flavors of coffee.
So I'll get there.
Okay.
The big thing with these two other, the two fancier ones, as he put it, he basically said these two are supposed to be more gourmet. And we both kind of agreed on the same topic. We were talking to each other about it. That we couldn't really have more than one cup in a sitting because the flavor is just so strong, and it's not bad, but it's just, you get into a second cup and there's a slight degree of repulsiveness to it afterwards. I don't know if that's common in some of the more expensive and exotic coffees.
What's repulsive about it is the biggest question.
Why are you having more than one cup of coffee in a sitting?
Because I tend to have more than one cup of coffee.
That's not being a coffee snob, is having more than one cup. That's just being addicted to the idea of caffeine.
It's not I'm addicted to the idea of caffeine. I'm addicted to caffeine. There's no
actual caffeine.
If I don't have coffee or caffeine in some form, midway through the day, I start developing headaches. So I'm not going to pretend that that's not a thing. Repulsive is a strong word for it, but I didn't want to just say, I didn't really have a better descriptor for it. It's just the flavor is overwhelming. It's too much flavor. So by that second cup of coffee, that along with the acidity, it's I kind of have to set it down and put it away,
I request some coffee.
Yeah, I will bring you what I have left of this one. This one's a little harder to identify. I still have to bring you that Japanese whiskey too. Now, to parallel that, the other types of coffee I've really been enjoying lately have been an instant espresso, which is in powder form, obviously, and you just pour it right into your hot water. I think it's actually used for tiramisu. And it is an imported instant espresso, if that's any sort of defense for my horrible
high
taste
roller
buds.
with the instant espresso.
But it's still cheap, and I can still buy it at a regular grocery store. So that's also a thing. And I've also really been enjoying the Keurig K-Cup coffees. Specifically, Javalia makes one that has like a milk powder packet that you pour into your cup beforehand, and there's some chemical, some active ingredient inside of that powder that makes it foam as soon as it's hit with a hot liquid. It fizzles if it's like a cold liquid or any residual liquid, but the result is that you essentially have like a latte once you have the coffee from the K-cup pour into the cup. I've really been enjoying those. And when you think about it, matcha, which is the green tea powder, is basically just powdered tea as well. So I'm starting to accept that like maybe I'm more of a man of convenience than I am like gourmet tastes.
Hey, you're more of a vending machine guy than a sit-down restaurant. That's
the Japanese in you.
yeah.
Very well could be.
I will say that you like your black coffees gourmet and delicious, and you like your sweet and frivolous coffees instant. And that's fine. I accept you. You're still a brother among us coffee people.
I mean, I really like a good cappuccino
Distant
too.
brother.
It's just I'm not ever going to get a good cappuccino out of a machine.
Yeah.
Until you go to Japan.
Well, can you get a dry cappuccino out of a machine though? That seems impossible.
A dry cappuccino?
Isn't that the term you use for it, where you have more foam than, or is that a stiff cappuccino?
Might be stiff. Stiff sounds a lot better than dry, but what do I know? Wine's all wet. Just full of these. God, I gotta get a new mic stand.
No, I'm not crazy. Dry cappuccino is the term used. Okay.
Okay.
I'm proud of you.
I knew you were not a snob as soon as you started talking about the beans and weren't describing the uniform character of the beans or intact silvers or making sure that the roasting was
Consistent?
yeah, properly consistent. The fact that you didn't even name those three topics lets me know that you are a charade, a charlatan. Yeah. I mean, I like coffee that is good, and it can come from stuff that looks particularly like cheap and easy. Your ground up Keurig cups or beans that I buy at my local grocer that are high quality fair trade beans that I grind myself. Like whatever makes good coffee, I'm cool with it. Feel it's
Yeah.
I don't know. Snobbery's overrated. I'm a snob, but I also want to have a campaign to eliminate snobbery from a lot of things.
I too am a snob. No, I'm pretty laid back. I'm pretty
Yeah.
chill.
I don't know. Who was the person that introduced us to Japanese whiskey in this room, in this internet call room?
Touche. But I'm not gonna like poo-poo on anybody's like other things. I find that like people who are true snobs are like, oh, what you're doing is terrible.
Wrong. Yeah.
So you're wrong about what you're doing. I'm more of a, hey, I'm glad that you enjoy that. Also, try this.
Yeah.
It's real delicious.
There's no shame in enjoying things. I think that's what we're all in agreement upon. If you like something that is like high quality, gourmet, haute couture, whatever it is, like kudos to you. But if you like something that is also considered trash by people who are committed to only consuming or using things within that like upper echelon of whatever consumer product it is, who cares? If you like it, it's serving its purpose. It's doing its job. That's why, Neil, I will never harass you for reading or watching Domestic Girlfriend. If that's for you, that's fine. Some of us have better taste, but hey, what can you do?
Wait, Neil, who got farther in Domestic Girlfriend, me or you?
By the nature, so I didn't watch any of the anime. I read like
Damn, I got
3
further
chapters
in the
in, and then I jumped.
He's farther in the series.
I jumped like 100 chapters out of that. Maybe more than 3 chapters, but no.
The
Just out of the
ultimate form
curiosity.
of basic gluttony, to just skip to the real good stuff.
I would argue that this is probably past its heyday. It definitely feels like a Marmalade Boy sort of. This seldom does a show that is based on drama and serious story ever benefit from going hundreds and hundreds of episodes long?
Besides JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
But that's the catch. I would honestly say JoJo is more comedy than action.
Which I would probably agree on.
I wouldn't.
Like, if we're talking quantity, there, like, part 3, part 4, and part 5, there are way more filler, hilarious episodes that really don't contribute that much to the plot than there are plot serious episodes. And I'm not saying it's bad either.
No, absolutely. The Italian restaurant in part 4 is a great filler episode. Has zero consequence on the story whatsoever. Wonderful episode. It's reminiscent of all of the part 3, like, is this an enemy stand? Like trope-like episodes.
Nice.
Anyway, we're 16 minutes in. We know that the only snobs here... Well, actually, there are no snobs here. We know that there are no snobs here.
Neil used to be a snob, but apparently now he's done being the snob.
I thought I was a coffee snob, but maybe not.
Maybe not.
I think I'm still a tea snob. But can we say the same thing about our snobbery with video games?
That was going to be my question.
But before that, you guys have anything you did during your weeks? I don't want to take away your potential turns.
Sadly, I did squat, so I will go ahead and pass on my time there.
Yeah, I can't think of anything, honestly. Oh, I can think of some things. For the people that are watching this in an audio medium,
Which
the
is
view
everyone.
of my pretty much the view at which Neil and Scott can see me is slightly different.
It is. You have a vacuum cleaner in the background.
Touche. But you'll notice you can't see the table anymore.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
New
I moved my
camera
TV
or...
stand.
Oh.
No, just move my TV stand. I
Okay.
decided to kind of like organize everything. We bought a Sonos surround sound system. Got it all hooked up so that now negates the need for the PA system that's in the house. So, and with the Sonos system, it's a lot less cables than having a PA system that's kind of jerry-rigged to be able to play the audio that's coming from our PlayStation/Switch, whatever. And Lizzie's like, I like this having like not 1,000 cords. What the fuck? And she points to the behind my TV stand, which is got my computer on it as well. So it's all the USB cables and the dongles and things. And I was like, okay. And I realized I've got a soundbar that has a subwoofer attached to my TV that I never used because I also had my old computer speakers, which was actually just a boombox that was somehow jerry-rigged to be able to play everything that came out of my TV/computer. So I ended up getting rid of the boombox and cleaning everything up. And with the boombox now gone, there was more room behind my TV stand. So I moved it. Long story short, I'm recondoed the shit out of some electronics this week.
I don't like that a single person has literally like captured the word cleaning and rebranded it. It's like the ultimate folly of capitalism these days is you can even take a verb and make it your own brand.
What can I say? She's got a gift. She's so quiet and Asian. You know, you just say thank you and flutter it away.
Marie
Besides
Kondo.
that, I got to play a board game for the first time. A new board game called Villainous. It is where you are Disney villains, and you are trying to complete your main objective of whatever your villain's objective was. So
in its movie.
Yep. So the game we played, I was using Maleficent. One of our friends was using Jafar, and Lizzie was using... Oh, God, who was Lizzie using? Ursula.
I was going to guess that. Nice.
And so me as Maleficent was trying to just curse my entire realm to win the game. Jafar obviously was trying to get the genie on his side and then take him to the Sultan's chambers so that way he could then become the emperor ruler. Sultan
Yeah.
himself.
I mean, wouldn't he just wish to be the like it doesn't make sense that he has to be in the chamber to wish himself Sultan.
Well, I would say it does because technically, I couldn't think of Aladdin's name for a second. Aladdin wished to be a prince,
Mm-hmm.
and he looked like a prince on the outside, but he wasn't a prince on the
He's
inside.
still a pauper on the inside.
Yep, or whatever that line was. Either way.
Street rat.
Yeah. And then Ursula's thing was to find the trident, kill King Trident in Trident's throne room.
Is this like Clue? Is it reverse Clue? You have to bring the weapon to the room with the character?
Pretty much. It's a lot of fun. It's not a very beginner-friendly game, despite the Disney tag on it, because
it sounds
each character,
particularly technical.
Yeah. And each character has their own special, unique rule set. So the reading of the instructions is really easy. You move your character in a different part of your realm. You do all of the actions on that tile that you land on. You draw back up to your maximum hand size.
How do you interact with the other players?
So there are fate cards. So on that tile that you land on, you can have either a play a card, an activate a card, a fate card, or a vanquish card. Vanquish tile, I guess. So vanquish is killing a hero with your allies as long as their strength is equal or greater.
Mm-hmm.
A fate card allows you to draw from one of your opponent's fate decks, which usually allows you to draw a hero and play it on their game board somewhere.
Mm.
So basically, fate is the way to fuck with the other players. And I guess there's a gain power, so you can play cards by spending power tokens, and each character is different. So while my character Maleficent had a couple of different vanquish things because she was trying to curse things, and her curses would say no hero can spawn here, but if Maleficent goes on this space, then that curse is gone. This one's like only heroes of 4 strength or higher, but I could just like vanquish them, and then I got an ally that was able to, like, her little crow was able to fly to different places and do things for me. So it was great. Ursula has no vanquishes. The way she kills people is by making them sign contracts. And each of her contracts says, hey, if this hero goes to this location, then they die to complete her contract. So Ursula's gameplay was much more stratego, rather than being just a straight up fist fight. And then Jafar was very much just a, hey, I'm going to go search my deck to see if I can find the Scarab first, and that will unlock the Cave of Mysteries, and then Cave of Wonders, excuse me. And then once I've got the Cave of Wonders, I then need to find the Genie's Lamp. And then once I get the Genie's Lamp, then I need to find a card that allows me to hypnotize the Genie. Then once I hypnotize the Genie, then I've got to get him all the way from the Cave of Wonders to the Sultan's Palace. So at least out of those 3, they all played very, very differently. So a first-time playthrough, if you're not 100% on like how each character interacts, is real confusing. So it took what should have been, it's labeled 30 minutes per person. So a 3-person game should have been like an hour and a half. Took us about 3 hours.
Was it a better experience than Kingdom Hearts?
It was a different experience than Kingdom Hearts. We knew the stories going in. No, there was no story going in.
So it was the same as Kingdom Hearts.
I mean, given that like you have quite a bit of experience with other board games and games that share a nature, basically games that are not video games, do you think they do a good job balancing each of the characters? Because with how different each of the villains or playable characters seem to function, I would wonder like if there is an obvious good character or like unbalance between each of them.
As of right now, just based on the 3 that we were playing, at first it seemed like I had the strict advantage because we were about 5 minutes into the game, I was only on round 2, and out of the 4 realms, so each board has 4 realms. Out of the 4 realms, I had 2 curses, so I just had to get 2 more curses.
Mm.
And then they all ganged up on me.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, you drew this, now I've got to move over here, so that gets rid of that curse. You drew an ally, and so I think the way everything kind of goes, it's somewhat balanced. Jafar probably would have won because our friend didn't realize that as soon as they got the lamp, that automatically summons the genie, so they were kind of waiting to be fated into someone summoning the genie for them.
Mm.
Whereas with Ursula, it was like as soon as she got the trident to spawn, that automatically spawned King Trident. So then she could start trying to work her way in killing that person. So Jafar seems like the easiest at this point, but we also haven't seen the Queen of Hearts. Oh God, the king from Robin Hood. I forget his name now. The lion. And we haven't seen Captain Hook as of right now. And that's just the core set. Then there's an expansion pack with 3 more villains. But it seems balanced as of right now. I thought what you were going to actually ask, Neil, was with all of your experience in playing a bunch of board games, how did those experiences translate over into this game? And I was going to say it didn't at all. It didn't at all. Because most of the time, you know, we played Dominion for the first time last week as well. In that game, like, me and Lizzie got the hang of it really quickly because it's more or less a resource gathering, collecting, and management game. So we're like, okay, cool. It's our turn. You draw a card. You get to buy these resources. You do this. Bam. That's my turn. Whereas this one's very unique. Makes me want to play Scythe now because I think it'll play similar to Scythe, maybe, just based off of how the boards and everything works. But that was my week. Neil, what'd you do?
Well, what am I going to do? I'm going to read an email. And since this is notable because it talks about a specific topic, I figured I'd read it now as opposed to towards the end of the podcast. Hey, Weeb Ramen Cast. Oh, and by the way, if you don't sign your name, I'm not going to read your name or your email address, obviously, online. So that's out there. If you want to write in, you can write into podcast@fancyramen.com. Hey, Hey, Weeb Ramen Cast. That's a tongue twister. Netflix recently added Neon Genesis Evangelion to its roster of anime. Have the 3 of you watched this classic? Would Evangelion still live up to its hype in this day and age? ? End email.
This is fantastic news because I did not know that, and I will watch it, and I will be the judge. I also haven't seen it, and so I don't know if there's any hype for it.
I also didn't realize Evangelion was on thing. Unfortunately, I've been watching Love, Death, Robots.
Oh,
on
one
Netflix.
of my coworkers was trying to get me to watch that.
Watch it.
I already buckled into Umbrella Academy on your recommendation, which I can say is intriguing but not entertaining.
Well, this one, they're 10-minute episodes. It's pretty much the animated version of Black Mirror.
Oh, okay.
Watch it. Okay. So no,
10-minute episodes is really where you had me.
I know, right? That's how I got you to watch Steven Universe.
I already watched that before we
Shut up.
No? Yeah.
Maybe.
I
don't
can't
know.
remember.
Doesn't matter.
It's been a long time.
Love you too.
Your influence on my life is inextricable at this point.
So Evangelion, I did not know that was on Netflix. That is the one with the
With robots.
obviously.
It's I really wonder.
Organic robots, right? That's the other thing.
Okay, it's the
They're
sort of.
alive.
I do really wonder if like a lot of the shock value that Evangelion brought. I'm not saying like there's Saw style shock value.
There's pretty Saw style shock value.
I mean, there's shock value within the regard of Evangelion really kind of turns a lot of expectations out of the mecha anime genre on their heads, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, step one, the protagonist is not like the protagonist is a young boy, much like Gundam and many other mecha shows.
Also, the protagonist is the only boy who can drive the mecha.
That's not technically true.
Is it not?
No, in
Then
fact,
why do they only have the other girls?
well,
or do we just not
you
care
would
about the
probably
other
have to
ones?
watch the show, but like part of like the kid doesn't want to get into this monstrosity and like let the
I wouldn't.
world weigh on his shoulders, so to speak. So like
I
the
wouldn't
first
wanna get into
episode is
that.
him literally being like, "Oh, I don't want to do it, Dad." And his dad's like, "All right, bring in the other pilot." And it's one of the other girls who's like obviously been kicked to
Dying.
shit, like limbs are broken and has internal bleeding, at least from the looks of her bandages. So it's like, yeah, we're going to force her to pilot it because you're a baby, Shinji. And Shinji's like, I guess I'll do it. Which this is accurate of the English voice acting, of course. No, but it's not that bad. I watched everything on the English voice acting on VHS when they were being released at the time. But like it takes the whole trope of like, what would an actual kid, not only just a kid, but a kid who was abandoned by his parents because his mother died when he was young, but he was abandoned by his father and has had like emotional issues as a result of that. How would he react to suddenly being called by his father to then somehow, for some reason, fucking take on the responsibility of saving the world in this monster? The typical, male hero protagonist that isn't in Evangelion at all. And like the robots are not robots, they're kung fu robots, if that makes sense. I don't mean that they talk about martial arts a lot. I just mean that they are the most organic moving robots, like even considering in Gundam Seed and some of the super actiony robots. Like these robots bend and twist and pirouette and do things that you would never believe
bend
of.
and twist.
And they quite literally bend and twist in ways that they're not designed to in some scenes.
They twist and shout.
They quite literally do twist in ways they shouldn't and then shout after that.
Oh no.
And to catapult all of this, I don't know if it was always intended to be this way, but the maker, the director and writer was definitely depressed and got even more depressed going through the creation of the series. So it starts off pretty typical in terms of plot, and then it just gets more and more and more complex, and every character seemingly starts opening up more and more baggage on the screen. But does that equate to a good show in 2019 when a lot of other series have done these things in even greater quantities and in greater quality potentially? I don't know. I also don't know if they have the movie, which most people think is the proper way to end the series, because the last 2 episodes are kind of troll. I can't really say why else because of spoilers.
Yeah, and I'll watch it, so you don't need to spoil anything.
What I've learned, Neil, is that everything I've done in my childhood has been a lie because I don't remember a lot of this plot. All I can really remember are the shocking things, like the first time an arm gets torn off of a robot.
And it's crazy because, like, I know the exact scene you're talking about, and it doesn't even seem that shocking to me now.
It was shocking to me as a child. It was like, It's like watching Guyver for the first time, but as a little kid, you're thinking to yourself, oh, the hero, because the hero always wins, and the hero fucking dies a horrific fucking death. That sticks with you. It sticks with you. Guyver!
Shofukumachi!
So yeah, I don't remember any of that plot. I may skim it. I may not skim it. I'm really deep into this anime about sumo wrestling right now.
Oh, I think I read the manga of that, actually. A bit of it.
It's so good. So good. But
I think I imitated that diet for a couple of years.
But no, I did not know that Evangelion was on Netflix, and I may skim it. Neil?
Yeah.
What say you?
I don't know if I'm going to, just because I watched the Rebirth movies, or Rebuild movies of Evangelion, and those, like, okay, you can't watch those without watching the original series. I'll say that much. But those also are kind of like recap retcon movies of the original series. So by watching those, I will already like within the last couple of years, I actually it kind of revitalized my memory of the main series, if that makes sense.
Hence why you're such a nerd and know the plot.
Breaking Persona news. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, did you? Yeah, I actually, I'm glad Tiff showed this to me while I was streaming, and I brought it up on stream.
Good. Well,
So we can go ahead and transition into video game news. Oh, and by the way, thank you for the email, nameless person. It brought up some interesting conversation. I do not know if Evangelion would still be good in 2019.
I'll be the judge of that. I want to watch it. I don't know anything about it, so I feel like I'm a good blank slate.
Persona 5R, or P5R, which was teased for the last month for more news in March, and somehow the date of March 23rd came up. I don't know how that was confirmed, but it did align with GDC. And now a new teaser was dropped upon our laps this morning, featuring a new name. So it wasn't Persona 5 Royal, I fucked it up. So it wasn't Persona 5 Rumble, or Rematch, or Wrestling, or Red.
Or Royal, apparently.
Yeah, it's Persona 5 Royal. That's a pretty good name. I like it.
Persona 5 The Royal. I don't know why there's the there, but it's there.
Is it really there?
It's really The
really
Royal.
there.
I'm looking at the trailer from Atlas
So
right
they
now.
did that with Persona 5 or Persona 4 Golden as well. In Japan, it's
The
known as
Golden?
Persona 4 The Golden,
Okay, so it is going to be Persona 5 Royal.
probably. I mean, do you want me to break the news? Have you guys already watched the teaser?
I just watched it. It only takes 40 seconds. It's a female protagonist, baby.
Assumedly, but yeah, probably.
No, it is. I'm doubling down. This is obvious. Her character design
I don't
makes
know.
me
They might
think that
pull.
she will replace our curly-haired kid.
I don't know. This might be a Karen. Was that the name of that game? A Karen thing.
Catherine?
Catherine.
You're thinking Catherine.
Thanks.
What? What do you mean? I don't understand by the
The new
comparison.
character in Catherine.
In addition of
when
a
they
new
were
character.
when they were like, "Oh, who is this mysterious new love interest
Oh,
named
I see what you
Catherine? Is it a boy? Is it a girl? No, it's both. Or it's neither. It's an angel."
So
What did
it
that ever
seems
turn
to
out to
use
be?
a very specific scene that would otherwise have the male Joker in it. So I think it is, or at least it alludes to a specific scene. So I think by that nature, we can probably say that it is a female protagonist. I don't know
I think
if
I might
it's
actually make it through that.
I really don't know if it's like the most shocking news, despite the fact that the producers before, at least the former leads of the P Studio team, said they would never do a female protagonist again because it kind of fucks with the quote unquote canon or like official timeline. But I mean,
But who cares? Harvest Moon, like, it's the Harvest Moon twist. You have your male version, you wait a year or two, you sell your female version, or vice versa. I think in Harvest Moon, it almost always starts out with a male protagonist, and then they do a female protagonist alternative game.
and slight spoiler warning, by the way, but this certainly seems like a good time to have about a month of content that gets lost in the original ending of Persona 5, which would also follow the exact same pattern as Persona 4
Oh no.
and Golden, I should note. So it's exciting. We're gonna get more news, April 24th. But that's about the gist of it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Royal. I don't know if anyone called that correctly.
Probably not. Though I guess we should have suspected it with palaces.
Yeah, definitely should have.
It's one of those that I feel like I'm kind of kicking myself like, oh, that completely eluded me.
If only I had
But it
brought this
makes
mystery to
sense.
my wife, she would have got it
If
immediately.
only they had hired or licensed the Lord song Royal to have as their teaser music.
Yeah.
So what games have you guys been playing this week?
Sonic Mania. This game came out on sale on Steam last week. I think actually after we finished recording, it was a steal, so I picked it up. Having not played a Sonic game since I think Sonic Adventure 2, and before that, the original Sonic on the what would that even be? Sega Genesis? I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
You've got good taste in Sonic games.
It's a perfect recreation of really sort of the original Sonic experience from the Sega Genesis that I remember. Platforming's really hard because it's like he's walking on ice and you go really fast through the levels. I think that it's a really good recreation of sort of the original vibe of the first 3 Sonic games, even though it's not... I believe this was originally... produced by or developed by a studio that was not originally associated with Sega. I better
Shin Megami Tensei?
no. Let me find out real quick. It's headcanon, if I remember correctly. I'm looking into it right now. But let's see. Oh, it must have been a really small team because from what I've got here, the programmers are just two guys, Christian Whitehead and Simon Tomley. And I know Christian Whitehead's name appears on the splash screen, and so does whatever Headcanon is. I thought they were also a developer. They might be a publisher.
He's made a couple of different Sonic games, according to his Wikipedia page. Christian Whitehead.
Yep. Okay. Prominent member of the Sonic fan game community and had previously been contracted by Sega to develop remastered ports of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 2, and Sonic CD. Okay. So yeah, it definitely explains how effectively they were able to kind of recapture the experience from the original Sonic that I played. Just because if you were to have me play the Sonic Mania introductory first and second levels of, I guess, Act 1, Act 2 for its Green Hill Zone, I would not actually be able to really tell you the difference between this Green Hill Zone that's been made for Sonic Mania and the original Green Hill Zone of the very first Sonic the Hedgehog game. They're that good at recreating it. I believe the bosses are different, and obviously the layout is actually different, but it just felt so good, and it was so nostalgic. I could not actually separate my memory of it with the new active memory I was forming playing it.
Which goes a long way to say about the mechanics and control of Sonic as well.
Yeah, I don't actually know if I like the mechanics and control of Sonic all that much. The game is fun, and I like the principle of moving very fast, but the levels are definitely designed for you to run through them a dozen times before you really figure out shortcuts and secret passageways to any degree where you can act upon them while still moving quickly. The boss fights kind of suck. Honestly, I don't think they're very fun. It's a little difficult to go from moving across a very large horizontal game space and then be boxed into a tight space with bad motion, or not bad motion, but just traction that is unlike any other kind of platformer of its time. If you compare the way Sonic moves to even characters from, I think it's Luigi has a slipperier traction in Super Mario World 2 or Super Mario Brothers 2. He's twice that level of slippage, or he has twice as bad of a problem with traction, that it makes some of these boss fights hard just to move around reliably. I end up spending a lot of time baiting an attack by whatever Robotnik enemy it is, and then using the little spin dash to spin dash away from the attack and then come back and attack the robot. The level designs are, I kind of have a similar issue where it's just like knowing what I can and cannot stand on, like what's background and foreground is very difficult at times. But ultimately, for the price I paid and the amount of time I've gotten out of it already, I've had a lot of fun with the game. They have a variety of options when you get into it, where you can do time trials or like bonus mini games, as well as I think a competition mode. And I don't know if that's two players competing side by side or if it is two players in a time trial where you post a speed and then the other player tries. I haven't really done that yet, but they also have single player and 2-player options. And you can play through the levels as Sonic, Tails, or the red guy, Knuckles, with the Knuckles, the red guy with the Knuckles. And the number of zones is relatively large. I never beat the original Sonic the Hedgehog for the Genesis, but I'm already on like the 5th zone, and it's hard to tell exactly when the game's going to end. It seems like there's still a lot of stuff ahead of me. So
It just ends immediately after Zone 5.
I mean, it absolutely could. I would have no idea because it's really hard to tell with these games. There's no narrative. There's no exposition. You just, run through the 2 acts in whatever zone you're in, and then you move into the next zone. And that's all there is to it. But for the, I think, $6 or $8 I paid, like, it's a steal. It's been a lot of fun. I just realized that Sonic boss fights suck. And so there's like a 10% of each zone that I don't like, and that is the boss fight portion at the end. But otherwise, the zones are very creative. There's a green hill, there's a chemical plant.
Is there a casino?
There's a casino-like one. It's more like TV broadcast. It's a media land almost. The one that I'm in right now is like sort of a like library/printing press place that's pretty cool. And then there's also like an airship that has a bunch of magnets going on in it, and I can't remember what that's about. All the level designs are very unique, which is cool. Like each act feels very fresh. You encounter some like basic interaction with the level environment in Act 1, and then it gets like really ramped up and elaborated upon in Act 2. So,
Would you say that it's maybe the best Sonic game since Sonic Dreams?
I haven't played Sonic Dreams.
Maybe you should play Sonic Dreams.
No, I know that this is a baiting question. It's the best Sonic game I've played since Sonic Adventure 2, and it's probably better than Sonic Adventure 2, but they just occupy such different spaces that I don't think they count for the same type of game.
Yeah, it's like comparing Metroid to Metroid Prime.
Yeah, exactly. They really, I mean, they have a lot of things similar in principle, but actually the interaction with the game, even with all of these core elements like trying to be retained about being cool and moving fast, it feels very different to play those two games, even though the basic principle is the same. So I think that's a really good comparison to make.
So when you critique the Sonic boss fights, I think for the most part, like you're fairly
They're
spot
clunky,
on with the analysis.
They're not very clear,
and a lot of the boss fights revolve around the Sonic jumping, because that's really how you aggress in
that's all
this
he
game.
can do.
Yeah,
All he can do is jump to attack. And I mean, that's the same for Mario for the most part in a lot of his classic games. But the difference is it's always, with every single one of these boss fights, avoid a very like heavily telegraphed attack and maybe environmental danger like spikes, and then jump at robot. Avoid attack, jump at robot.
if we're just analyzing the boss fights by themselves, I would argue that the principal approach and design of Mario bosses. We're talking traditional Mario, like before he got a punch, and Sonic,
Right, I'm
traditional
thinking,
Sonic
I'm
games.
thinking like Super Mario World. Yeah, Super Mario World, for instance.
Yeah,
Say, just stop.
Mario to
You're-
Super Mario World, basically. They're the same. The
Yeah.
difference, though, is that
You
the
jump on an
majority
axe or
of
you jump on a
Mario
head.
does not have you playing a completely different game. Whereas in Sonic, as you put it, the entire game is about this vast and wide vertical movement, and then you get into a one-screen
Horizontal, too.
arena with a few exceptions on some bosses.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to point out though too is that like not only does it feel just starkly different though, I would almost argue that like Sonic actually can control well. It's just that he only controls really well when you're jumping. Cuz he does kind of feel like he's on ice. But like if you needed to land on something precisely or like do precise movements in the original games, I would always just jump to do it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I found myself enjoying Sonic more before, strangely enough, when I was going at a moderate speed and just jumping all over the place. But is there a timer in original Sonic?
I think the way that it works in both the original Sonic and in Sonic Mania is there is a timer that is counting how long it takes you to finish, and you get points based off of that. It's not like Mario where you're given like 300 seconds to complete a level, and it starts like speeding up the tempo as soon as you get to like the last 90 minutes or 90 seconds.
It's just like, it's weird because Sonic Mania, obviously their design philosophy would be to stay as true to the game as possible. When Sonic
have in a lot of
inherently
ways.
has that flaw to it, that like the bosses just aren't interesting ever.
I think they did have one boss fight that they tried to break from that principle, in which you are dashing alongside a boss that's in the background and attacking missiles that then, if you hit the right missile, there's red and blue ones, and if you hit the blue one, it'll malfunction and shoot back at the boss. But controlling your speed and your jumping is actually very hard on that one, because you have like your momentum moving forward with the jump. You lose a lot of momentum moving forward with the jump. But if you touch these red missiles in any way, you lose all your coins, and there's really no way to retrieve them back. So it was actually a very hard fight. It was the only boss fight I had to reload like 4 or 5 times. And so I liked the idea, but I thought the execution, either I was very bad at it, or they just didn't, like, there was just something that was missing on being able to control your velocity or momentum a little bit easier. It didn't necessarily make sense. When you're running at full speed, you really cover a lot of distance, and you end up pushing against the like right-hand portion of the screen if you're facing it. But if you weren't running at all, it's like forcing Sonic to just walk in front of the screen as it's moving. But it's giving the impression that Sonic is walking very fast, that he is a speed walk champion, if that's the case. And so it makes gauging the speed just utter shit, really.
I actually think there is a boss battle in one of the older Sonics that does that too, because I remember that same interaction where the screen is gating your backwards progress, and it keeps moving forward. So Sonic is like kind of moonwalking, where he's staying at the end of the screen or the edge of the screen, but just doing his slowest
Moving real
animation
fast,
walk.
yeah.
Yeah. So, man,
I
it's
don't
cool
know.
though that you're enjoying it.
Take out bosses from Sonic. I feel like, I don't know. I don't need them. I don't like the experience, so knock them out.
It probably wouldn't be the first game or last game that would benefit with the removal of of combat, I would say. Because, I mean, even when you're going up against the enemies in that game, if you're going fast and you're rolling, like, they're not really enemies. They're just obstacles.
They're points to earn
Yep.
as you crash through them.
I mean, Deadly Premonition would be a much better game if they didn't have combat. God, fuck. Yeah, different topic for a different day.
But yeah, that's what I've played so far, is quite a few hours of Sonic Mania. And the formula is good as long as they keep bringing in, a new element or a new interactive portion of the map for each act and zone. I mean, that's the key. keeps the gameplay kind of fresh and entertaining. And the fact that you're only in a location for 2 acts means that you never get bored of the background scenery or any of the other just like stylistic choices they've made to the design. It's sort of it's interesting to think that when I think about Mario games, you have worlds that have 8 levels in a lot of the classic Mario games. These are essentially the biggest competitors to Sonic at the time that kept like some thematic element going on the whole way. Even though with the Mario games, it was really basic at first. You had your first world is pretty iconic. It's rolling green hills. And besides the underground levels, just bright daylight sky, stone floors, not much to it. But then you get to a level later that's like World 5 or World 6 in Mario, and it's the same thing, except the enemies are harder. It's more difficult enemies, and the background of the sky is now black. And like that's the only difference. And that's what they did to like keep a thematic level design going on for each world, so to speak. But in Sonic, it's like it's 2 and they're done, and then they create a brand new environment that is wholly unlike anything you've played before. I mean, it's very hard to see the similarities between a like ramped area in Green Hill Zone versus a ramped area in like the airship that I was on. That's I think the 3rd or 4th zone. Even though they're executing the same exact thing, they look completely different. And so just like the level of variety that occurs is very refreshing. And I wonder how much Sonic actually benefits from just it's the same gameplay like elements you're interacting with every time. A loop-de-loop is a loop-de-loop. But when you make the loop-de-loop look different, it all of a sudden doesn't seem so repetitive.
I was really considering getting the game when it came out, and
when it's on sale, I would pick it up for sure. I mean, it just doesn't seem like you can throw away $6. I think a lot easier than like 20 or 30 on a game to try it out. And I think this is a good case that if you liked playing Sonic at all, it's worth picking up because it's one of the better Sonic games I've interacted with, even though I have my complaints.
So, Cookie, what have you been playing?
More of The Division 2. It's still a great game.
Have you caught your guy? Or has he left more audio tapes?
He has.
Harassing you from afar?
So I haven't actually found many more of his audio tapes. I found a lot of like just what's going on in DC and how people have been surviving, and that's always a fun and intriguing story. But yeah, just been grinding out more of The Division 2, and I'm weirdly still not bored, and I love it. Finally got to about the halfway point in gauge of what level I am, and the map is starting to do a lot of really interesting and weird ass things. Like as soon as me and Lizzie hit our next milestone last night, all of a sudden I saw this new icon on the map, and it was moving. And it's like, oh, that's a resource convoy. What is that?
Ooh.
And it's just a convoy of enemies carrying a bunch of resources. So we kind of spawned because the resource convoy was coming up on one of the points we controlled, and I was like, let's go ahead, load up, because we'll never be able to run across DC in time to get there, because Lord knows we'll get distracted by some shit. And we loaded into this big-ass firefight. It was great. It was a lot of fun. Then there was a supply drop that happened nearby, so there were just a bunch of enemies waiting around near some flares. They had just killed a bunch of friendly people who were waiting for a big supply drop, and these 4 crates dropped down, and it's like, all right, it's a mad scramble. Kill all the enemies. Don't die, so we can get these supply drops. We ended up getting 3 out of the 4.
So these are like random events happening on the map in the same way that Metal Gear Solid 5 tried to keep like a very realistic world going on with convoys moving from spot to spot and guard shifts changing and all of that.
Mm-hmm. So there's like, you will actively see if you're like walking past a building, enemies just walking out of the building, and it'll say they're patrolling or they're on their way to get resources, or friendlies, they're patrolling, getting resources, guarding an area. The craziest thing that we've seen so far in like what an enemy is set up to do is ambush. So you'll see enemies like spawn out of an area and then they'll just start running. And you're like, I wonder what they're planning on doing. Oh, they're coming at us. And if you aim at an enemy, it'll like start to highlight them and highlight what their intentions are, whether or not they're guarding, collecting resources. The scary one is always ambush.
Yeah, it just says gonna fuck you up above the head.
Pretty much. And it's just like, okay, our first ambush we ran into, there are these spots where you can go underground into the sewer system, and they're what we thought usually safe. Until we got to this specific underground system, and all of a sudden my brother was like, oh, there are some enemies over there. We're like, cool, let's catch up real fast to you and get you there. We'll catch up to you and we'll tactically fight these guys. Then all of a sudden I hear my brother go, oh shit. I come around the corner, I see a dude running at him, and I aim and I see, oh, they're ambushing us, apparently. And the dude runs right into my brother and blows up. He was a suicide bomber.
Oh my gosh. And they cornered you into that trap just by ambushing you. I guess right in front of you, right? They ran at you, made you try and find the closest spot for safety, and then they also had that ready for ambush.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, there's this big ass dude who's a yellow, so the tougher of the toughest enemies, fully decked out in body armor. Usually everyone's got like a shotgun. This nigga's got like a fucking chainsaw. So
that's
after
not a
my brother
weapon.
Yep. After my brother gets blown up, he is almost down. Then chainsaw motherfucker comes around the corner and hacks him to pieces.
Oh
He's
my
dead.
gosh. So
then,
how good does it feel to get outsmarted by an AI?
Good and bad. I understand why you guys play your Dark Souls games, and I'm very excited for the end game or the game mode plus, where after we beat all the story missions, all the missions become closer to this, where they do change spawns. The enemies play more like humans would play. So if you are in a spot of cover, as of right now, as long as like if an enemy ducks down and you move to cover, they'll still shoot at the same cover. The newer enemies, it's closer to
they'll track your movement.
They're still watching your periphery. They will do pincer moves and try and flank you. So it makes me like super excited for that.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing more exciting than getting dunked on by a very smart AI, or at least just a well-crafted response system.
If you can't get dunked on by an omnipotent AI that like knows everything about what you're doing despite not like thematically having knowledge of it.
Yeah.
Because that's unfair. But you can definitely get dunked on by an AI that you're not aware of what their pattern is going to be. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, that was smart of them. Fuck.
Yeah.
My bad. My bad for not testing the waters here. We got dunked on a couple of times that night by...
Hey, you did the smart thing. You dipped your brother in. You saw how the water was. You left him behind.
Pretty much. You're like, that's not water. That's a frying pan.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there were a couple of moments like we were hunting a bounty down and we get to this area and it's like, okay, the cover's kind of shitty here, but we know this area pretty well. Let's just go in and have a good day. Nah, we went in and the AI had a good day with us because they were all in cover. We were not. The second time we went after this bounty, it was like, okay, you guys post up out here. I'm going to kite these motherfuckers. So I ran in with my shotgun, popped off a few shots, then ran away. Died on my way out, but was able to respawn back in, helped everyone clean up, and it was beautiful. But yeah, so I am enjoying the shit out of this game, and I did end up wasting about $30 this week getting. I decided to get, as one of my
Skins.
coworkers like to call, Chell NHL 19, and also picked up FIFA.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, man, the next time we hang out, we got to play some NHL. I think that of the sports games that I have the most fun with, soccer and hockey are probably the best sports video games for people who aren't even into sports. They're just so much fun to play.
Well, they were both on sale last week for $15 each
That's a pretty
on
good
the
deal.
PlayStation. So I ended up picking up the pack of 2 for $30 because I know a lot of, like, 3 of my coworkers play NHL 19 and one of Hawaiian Ryan plays FIFA. So I was like, I don't play with these people enough. I'll get a game that they play and hopefully tear myself away from the division enough to play it. That's kind of what I've been playing, I guess. Yeah. I mentioned last week that I was going to start a visual novel.
Steins Gate.
Yeah, I was wrong. It was Psychopass, not Steins Gate.
Oh.
And I did play a little bit of it and got bored very quickly. It's a different story.
Yeah,
Oh.
isn't Psychopass the one? I feel like, Scott, did you not watch the Psychopass anime?
Not only did I watch Psychopass, I also watched Psychopass 2.
I did not watch Psychopass 2. Was it worth it? Let me work it. Put your name down, flip it, and reverse it.
What was... Okay, now I remember it a little bit. Sure, it's worth... If you liked Psychopass 1, I think I would watch Psychopass 2.
Wait, did Psychopass 1 end with the main character chick?
Spoilers
saying-
for anybody who's about to watch Psychopass.
Touche.
Go ahead
The main
5
character
minutes.
chick doing the thing at the farm.
Whoa, what happens at the farm?
The
Holy
thing at the
cow.
farm. So
I'm trying to
Yeah,
be as vague as possible.
No, yeah, that's fine. I think we put the spoiler tag out.
yeah,
Go
are you
ahead.
gonna watch it, Neil? Are you aware of it?
I'm aware of it. I already know like some of the main beats in it. So
So I will say,
Okay.
is
It's
it the
fine.
part where the main deviant,
And-
I forgot what his name,
That's
him
fine.
leaving?
White hair guy.
Yeah, white hair guy. No, not white hair guy. The black hair guy who's hunting white hair guy. Him leaving?
Oh, Kogima or whatever. Koga.
Whatever his name is.
Yeah.
The dude who hangs
yeah,
out with
yeah. Kojima? No. Yeah, he leaves at the very end of Psychopass season 1.
Okay, so no, don't spoil Psychopath season 2.
Yeah, I won't
I'll have
because
to watch that.
yeah,
because
He's
he
out
comes
there now.
back
because he's out there
as Kojima.
as Kojima. What
He's
a
like,
twist.
guys, I made a terrible game.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
already dunking on
Oh God,
walking
no. I'm
our
just
package delivery simulator.
saying.
Hey man, I'm excited for that game. Even if it is package delivery, Kojima knows how to make package delivery exciting and interesting.
He's just
I
trying to
bet.
revitalize the U.S. postal system.
From Japan.
Are you guys excited about Dying Twice?
Oh yes, absolutely. I just checked to see if it had any multiplayer elements, and it does not. So I'll be getting it for my PlayStation.
If we had talked about this, if we had
Sorry,
talked about this, if we had done
I'm
this
so
podcast
sorry,
on
Cookie.
Sunday per usual, I probably would have more things to say about that game.
Hey, you'd probably have 8 hours in or something.
So
I have to go visit somebody later today, and either on my way over or on my way back, I'll probably pick it up. So I'll have a plethora of experience by the time we record again.
So you'd prefer to play it on PlayStation 4?
Because it's not
I got a
multiplayer. Because he'll
big-ass-
never play multiplayer on PlayStation 4.
I got a big ass TV, so the games that aren't multiplayer that I'd like to see on a really big, pretty screen go on the console, and then the stuff I'd like to play multiplayer for free because I'm a cheapskate go on the PC.
Okay.
It's
I can dig.
$45 a year right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hey man, I don't know. That's a lot of money. I'll go pick it up.
The game, not multiplayer. Let's not
No,
get
no,
everything
no.
confused.
I'm committing to this right now. I have led my poor friend Cookie astray long enough when it comes to multiplayer games on console systems.
So
I'm
wait,
willing.
will we play Chell together?
I guess I'll have to pick up NHL 19.
Jesus,
You
you're
said it's
fucking
cheap.
peer pressuring
This
them
is so
into-
much money. This is $120 that I'm dropping right here.
I'd
if
much
I get
rather you pick up the
Sekiro
Division
PS-
2 than
Okay.
Chal.
Okay.
Honestly.
But I'd much rather pick up NHL 19. We found another impasse. I will be picking up Sekiro Shadows Die Twice no matter what. That's a game I'm going to play. That's a game I knew I was going to play for quite a while. And Neil can't be the only person with an opinion on it because
I can have an opinion on it. I won't play it, but I'll have an opinion on it.
you need a hot counter take that I can rescind like 2.5 years later when I finally play the game start to finish, like Bloodborne.
So Cookie, you know what Sekiro has? It has dialogue.
Shadows?
There's dialogue.
Ooh, he likes that.
Damn.
I don't know how much there is because all of the games have dialogue. It's just how much is there actually.
It
It's
sounds
one
like the
line.
story's much
You've
more,
cut off my hand. How could you?
You must die a second time. From what I've been saying about the game, it looks good. Looks pretty. I honestly don't have the time besides my like daily need of playing Call of Duty just for my tier. I should probably drop that eventually. Either way, my daily need of
Oh, I was gonna say we do need the diversity on what we play, and Neil and I aren't gonna bite the bullet on the Call of Duty grind. So
Yeah, you do you.
I respect your dedication to your assignment.
Thanks for not being a video game snob.
No snobs here, not anymore.
Still love my Call of Duty. It's still a great game. Yeah, at some point later today, I'll be picking up a mic stand. R2. But that's all I've been playing. Sorry to segue into Shadows Die Twice. What are you playing, Neil?
Let's put that off since we're at almost 120 for the day. As we read off at the start of the show, you can write us at podcast@fancyramen.com. Questions, comments, whatever, corrections.
No concerns. I don't care how you feel about anything that you find concerning on this podcast.
Instead, you should definitely put your concerns in reviews that you leave on Apple Podcasts. Sorry that the other ones got deleted, apparently. I'm still just showing 5. I've got my iPad on me right now. And I'll be more than happy to read these on live. And if you don't want your name read, just tell me, I guess.
It might
All
be
within your 2-sentence review.
yeah.
Suck tits.
We'll figure
Signed,
this
Titty
out.
McGee. Tell a friend.
Yeah, tell a friend. Tell a friend to check out our Twitch channels. We've got Buck and Neil streaming at twitch.com/fancyramentv. Cookie streams at twitch.com/cookieskamilk. And John streams at twitch.com/jfreyallday. I currently do not stream. So you'll just have to guess what I'm doing.
Phenomena. And that does it for this episode of that does it for this episode of Fancy Ramen.
Episode
112. The title, Sonic the Royal. I don't know.
No, that's no good.
Division of Sonics. Dying
No.
twice.
No.
Sonic Die Twice.
Sonic Die Twice. The Royal Division Edition.
Have a good week, everybody.
And make it beautiful.